when is a client my client? I think this is a super important question that as a filmmaker and a business person, you really have to consider. If I sound a little under the weather, I'm sorry. I'm trying to get over it. So if I sound extra bassy, you know, that's the reason why. Something interesting came up just recently, especially with the drought that's been around in the industry. I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's not a lot of work going on. Now, if you're a filmmaker or let's say a video agency, you're probably doing like numbers right now with the social media stuff and all that. But if you're like a traditional filmmaker or someone that does a lot of commercial work, you'll know that things are kind of on the slope because people are just afraid to spend money right now. They just don't know what to do. So at this point, it gets to where some people are very, very particular about who is their client. The reason why I bring this up is because this is something that I found when I started off about 10 years ago, 10 plus, that I had to be very, very smart about who I would consider my client and when they weren't. And believe me, different people will tell you when you are wrong.
That is mine.
This is a discussion I want to bring up here on my channel as well. So in the comments, you know, let me know what you think about what we talk about today, especially how, you know, any of your client interaction stories. I'd love to hear about that, but I'm going to give you a couple versions of this. Okay. So why is this even an issue? So the reason why it is an issue is because a client is very important. I mean, they're literally your lifeblood, right? They're the ones that are hiring you, giving you the money. They're the ones that are putting literally, you know, bread in your pocket. They're you know, giving you the ability to be creative, especially if you get a really, really good agency or really, really good client. You like never want to let it go because what the saying is, like, once the honey pot, you know, is open, you never want to close it, right? Keep the honey pot going. And I think that's something that's very true when even on the agency side, like an advertising agency, once they find a production company that just like kills it over and over and over, like they just don't want to hire anyone else. You know, why not? I mean, if the work is that good, then keep it going. And a lot of people, you know, they get into a little bit of a mess. So here are some examples. Okay, so a producer brings over an agency, and the agency then brings you the client. So someone hits you up, they're like, hey, I got a project that I want to bring you on, maybe as a cinematographer, maybe as a BTS videographer, I mean, whatever, right? So they hit you up. Let's say that this is person A. They are bringing on an agency who is now company B, right? Company B is representing the client, like the actual brand that you're working with. Let's say that is client, which is your C. So you have A, producer, B, the agency that represents C, the client, right? So whenever you're working in this situation, you can say that C, you're working with them, you're working for them, but they're not your client. In this situation, the producer found you so that they can connect you to the agency, and the agency then agrees and uses you for the client. With that said, that means that you now, your client is that producer. So, you know, when you find a producer like that, that's always throwing you to different agencies, to different companies, clients, you know, commercial companies or things like that, then you really, really want to work with that producer as much as you can, you know, especially if they're always thinking about you. And I think that's super important. So in that situation, you know, if company B, the agency hits me up directly, I have to tell them, hey, great, thank you so much. Have you talked to producer A? And they'll let us know, like, oh yeah, we talked to them, whatever, you know. And there's some situations where the producer will just be like, hey man, I'm just passing you the gig. Or like, hey, yeah, we did good on that job. Go ahead and work with them. Don't worry about it. You don't have to call me when they call you. Those are like the most awesome producers ever, right? Like, and that's because they pretty much just put you on, is what we call that in the industry.
You want to be on though? Yeah, you put me on. Yeah, bro.
Wait, he put you on?
Man, he was still listening to Roscoe Dash in 2020,
Roscoe
bro.
Dash?
Roscoe Dash. Low key, I really put him on everybody he know, bro. You know he was listening to nothing, he was listening to Roscoe Dash.
They put you on, they set you up, and if you kill it, then now you have you have a new client that's even bigger, because that client, that agency, the agency B, right? The B in the equation, they probably have a ton of C's, right? A bunch of company C's, client C's. They might be working with multiples, and now they can represent you or start pushing your information out to all these different clients. So now you have a new one. Now, if it goes further than that, and you are now working directly with client C, that's a lot of influencers have, they're dealing with this now, where it's coming from the horse's mouth. Like you're coming straight from X company. They're saying, hey, we're going to send you a product. They're foregoing agencies, they're foregoing producers, which is why sometimes your budgets aren't as big. And that's where a lot of the fluff comes in from the agency side, because they tell the people, hey, this year we're doing these ideas for you. It's going to cost $100K, and for $100K we're going to bring on these people, and that's where you get your full rates and stuff like that. So it all kind of makes sense, right? They're all feeding each other, but they're all going. It's all for a certain purpose, and that's how it normally works. So this one's kind of fun. It's when a producer connects you to an agency or to a company, but you are already mutually connected. This one gets into gray territory, because it's happened for me before, where like another agency will hire me to work with, let's say, Google, right? Or with Google, and they'll tell me like, hey, you can't work with Google without working with us. But I've already worked for Google before, and then it just so happens that I've worked with the exact same person that they've worked with before at Google. So it's like, well, actually, I mean, this is mutually beneficial for all of us. Technically, they didn't bring you the client, they just brought you the project. And I think that's one of those things where sometimes those clients, that company B or that producer that had no idea that you were already connected, all they did was kind of link a couple things together. And there you can say like, hey, that company is kind of already my client. I've done work for them in the past. I've done things, and I'd love to do this new project. But just so you're aware, I'm already working with them. And I think that's a good way for you to kind of already tell them like they're a client of mine. So like if I work with them again, don't be mad, right? Don't be mad because I'm not taking your jobs or your projects. I'm already working with them, and thank you so much for the connection. And you just have to be kind of open about that version. Another one is when a friend refers you. Like sometimes, friends, I would say friends refer you. For some people that refer us, like the word of mouth type of thing, where they're like, hey, you need to check out my buddy's work, and they're, they do this and that. They're not worried about like getting some kind of commission. They're not worried about doing that. And there are some people who treasure those connections. So there are some friends who are like, yo, next time you work with those people, that we're friends, but I'm still your like producer. And I think that's where a lot of people kind of get in trouble, because you can be friends, but you cannot also clearly define what you're doing on a project. They might see you working on a project with that company again a lot, and they might look at you and be like, dang, man, they're really feeding you, right? Like, man, they're taking care of you, saying like, when are you going to take care of me? Like, when are you going to propel me, right? So you got to be careful with those things too. Sometimes it's like, I tell them like, yo, send them my work, and if they want to hit me up, like they can, but no worries, like it's very like, you don't have to refer me if you don't want to. Not that big of a deal. Like I really appreciate it. And that's where like when they hit me up, we talk, and I tell the friend like, yeah, they hit me up, but we'll see what happens. I'm not really focusing on it. And I think that's where you can they can understand that if they hit you up or not, like it's not that big of a deal. But on our end, especially right now when there's the work, it's kind of light, and you kind of might be on more of the thankful side and be like, yo, thanks for hitting me up. Yeah, if something comes through, I'm gonna take you to an expensive dinner, but don't expect nothing else. You know what I'm saying? Because we trying to pay bills.
Can't find my checkbook. Hope you don't mind I pay you in change.
Just being very honest. Okay, another one here is one that for sure is your client is when you pay for leads, that's going on all over right now. That's when you pay for leads, that is definitely your client. Sometimes I think some companies like Thumbtack or like a couple other companies, and maybe Thumbtack doesn't do this, but I know they try to like do like a gate behind like who the person is, their email and all that until you pay the money, and then they send it over. And I think they try to take a percentage of what you do. So, I mean, that's all part of it. But I think after that first interaction, it's pretty much like, I think you can work with those people directly, unless you sign some kind of agreement that says that you can't. There's a lot of producers out there too that I've worked with, and that people have talked about in the industry, that they say that they are all over the United States, but really they're hitting up just local crews. And a lot of those companies will send you non-compete agreements or non-disclosure agreements that have non-compete elements in them. And non-compete ultimately is a document that you sign saying that you will not work with that client, or you will not release any documents, or you will not do any of those things without the person that brought you the gig. If someone's handing you one of those, believe me, they are telling you that that is not your client. That's their client.
I'm to a big fat contract. Hell's bells, Mr. Lund. If we don't, the goddamn competition will. Oh!
But if you pay for leads, I think for the most part, that's your client, and you need to, find ways to get more work from that same lead. Yeah, I think, and there's several times that I've had a good relationship with like an agency or a production, that we did several projects, and then my connection to them all of a sudden wants to change things up, and
things are gonna be different now.
I just have to say bye. Like, I just have to be like, hey, your account manager now is this person, and I'm out. And it's happened several times where I had that same client hit me up later, and they're like, but we wanted to work with you. And I was like, yeah, I get it, but I just have to be smart about this. And unless that person, not that legally I would be bound to like respect them. But for me, it's like, I just don't want drama, so I don't really deal with it. The ultimate question is like, how would you react? And there's a bunch of different scenarios that we can go through as well. But ultimately, I just want to bring this out to you and really make you think about how you're going to treat your clients, how you're going to, how you're going to manage them, and even manage a relationship with producers or agencies, or even the, commercials or the brands or people that you're talking to directly. Overall, I think it's one of those things that you really have to focus on as an entrepreneur, as a filmmaker. You have to do like double work. Not only do we have to make them look good, but we have to keep the relationship going. For me, it's a little bit hard because I'm not a big socialite. I'm not a person that likes to talk a lot. You'll see me talking on set, but if not, you'll find me at home sleeping or chilling or Call of Duties or something, With that said, I really appreciate you guys hanging out, and I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to hear your client interaction stories, and I'd love to, just to know a little bit more of what you're doing. The next video that I have coming out is going to be really cool because we're going to the film festival, the Houston Latino Film Festival, this Sunday. We're showing the latest project that we have called Least Wanted. That's going to have its world premiere there. We're also going to have all the guys that star in it there, and it's going to be really, really cool. So my next video will show just like a vlog of us doing that whole event, and really appreciate you just checking all this out and coming along for the ride. I'll also be releasing a new video that kind of shows you a roadmap of like what we're going to be doing the next couple of weeks on this channel. A lot of work is starting to pile up now for us, which is great. We've been waiting for this. So we're hearing that there's a lot more work that's about to start hitting. So I want to make sure that I'm still creating content and that I don't get too busy with the commercial work. All right, guys, thank you all so much. Thank you for hanging out, and we'll be talking, and we'll see you soon. Oh, don't forget to sub. 2025 subs. That's our goal. We're almost there. See ya. Bye.
Yeah.